So I'm going to make a really quick video that's going to disambiguate what web development is. I'm going to try to put it in a way that I wish somebody had told me when I first started web development. Because when I first started, coming out of high school, I was really overwhelmed. And the first thing I tried to do in learning web development was learn a framework, a new framework at the time, like React Native, which if you're an experienced dev, you will know is a little bit of a jump from nothing to React Native. So let's start. It's very simple, okay? So I'm on a Mac right now, right? I open Terminal. Now, what do I see when I open Terminal, right? What I see is my file system. Now, let me show you what I mean by that. So you don't have to be very experienced to know that when you open your Mac, for example, you are logged into your desktop folder, and you're logged into a visual display of your desktop folder. So I'm going to go to the desktop folder from the point of view of the terminal. And you're going to see that everything in the desktop folder is rendered here as a folder as well. Pretty intuitive concept. So now, the internet was created and I forget exactly what year, but we're in a time where we want to share information from computer to computer, right? And within the computer itself, information is stored in these files, right? Like this script I have here. We want to share information between computers. Now, how do we do that? We're going to expose the information in this computer. For example, these files that I see right here, we're going to expose those to other computers that are partaking in this thing that we call the internet. Now, how do we do that? We create a web server. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and create a web project, and I'm going to do it in JavaScript, and I'm going to explain as I go on. And I'm going to try to do this out of, I'm going to try to do this as intuitively as possible. I don't have any code written already because it should be intuitive. So we're in the desktop test folder, so we're going to switch to there here. All right, now I'm going to create a node project. Now, a node project is a JavaScript project that is built with Node Package Manager. And what Node Package Manager is, for those of you that don't know, is something that downloads other people's code from the internet and then downloads them somewhere in my computer so that I can use it. So I'm gonna do npm init to start a new node project. Npm init, yes, that's gonna do some metadata. I don't want to get too in detail about what package management is, but I think I've said enough on it. Okay, so now I'm gonna create the code for sharing my computer's information to the internet, and it's gonna be extremely simple. I'm going to install the framework called Express for this. Now, I might sound a little contradictory in the fact that I'm using all of these existing code bases, but that's not the point of my video. My point of the video is not how to make a web server. I just want to explain to you what the purpose of a web server is and how simple it is to make one. Okay. So now, I'm going to install Express, which, oops, I just did. And that's a package for creating a web server for myself. Now, what a web server means, for those of you who don't know, I'll get into that later in some networking video that I'm going to make. Anyway, so within this project that I'm in, I'm going to require Express, and I actually haven't touched JavaScript in a while, so excuse me for doing this incorrectly. I think Express returns a function. Okay, I think people tend to do it like this: const app equal. Well, let's not worry about this right now. So a web server, like I said, it serves content from your computer to other computers. Now, the way it does that is it creates a mapping between a file path in your computer. Oops. Probably right there. So it's going to, a server will map a local path, e.g. users run desktop tests index.html to, I don't know, let's say server name, server port, some path. Okay, I've not written JavaScript in a while. You can see that. All right, so we have an Express server that we're going to do that with. So what happens is we have, this is a programming language specific detail. So this is, we're going to create a new app using the Express library, and I think you call the function. This line is probably the least relevant in the video. So we're going to map, we're going to perform this mapping that we just mentioned here, right? So we're going to do app.use. This is JavaScript's way of mapping, you know, a file path. We said we were going to map this information to a file path. Instead of actually mapping a file from my computer, I'm going to simply map some text. Okay. This is, again, I really don't want you to care too much about the programming language syntax. I want you to really get these core ideas into your head. So I'm mapping some information to this path on localhost, right? So here's the path mapping done in JavaScript. Again, example, please don't focus on the JavaScript alone. We're going to do res.send hello world. So basically what we're saying is that our app is going to serve you this information when you hit this path named path, right? And then there's app.listen. I think port comes first, right? 9000. And this is where we're going to say, oh, we're going to listen on this port. This also takes a request and response. Actually, no, it does not. I don't see why it would. Running server. So this is how you write a server in JavaScript. Let me see how my JavaScript skills have deprecated since. Okay, there we go. Let's go. All right, so we're expecting that on localhost 9000, we're gonna hit this path endpoint and get some information that we said is simply the text "hello world." Now let's do that through our browser, Safari. Localhost 9000. Oh shit. Localhost 9000. Huh. Not yet. I'm definitely serving something. Ah, right. Like I told you guys, I'm supposed to look for this information. Hello world. You see hello world? That is what a web server is. It's simply something that listens for connections and shares information from the local computer to other computers. Now, I want you guys to understand that this detail is not important. These little details like requiring Express, this and that, these used to overwhelm me. That's why I'm so adamant about telling you they don't matter so much. These used to overwhelm me. And I'm telling you the real important concept is that you need to know that what you're doing when you create a web server is you're creating a mapping between a server port path to some information. All right. Now, let's get into some more cool details, right? So what did I do when I opened my browser and I typed localhost, right? What I did was I sent a request to my server over here that's running. What exactly did that do? That request did exactly, it triggered this function that I have, right? This app.use, it triggered this function. And that function returned hello world. So now let's do that without a browser. Let's do that with the most basic command a person trying to browse can run, right? So what this does is kind of, for those of you that don't know, is sort of like browsing using terminal. It's making well, what it's literally doing is sending an HTTP request to this URL, which we did with a browser. It just looks better. So curl, we got the same exact information. Now, let's say I wanted to structure my information in a cool way, okay? I'm going to say, I'm going to say I want to structure it in a way where I use tags to decorate my information, right? Let me do that. So I'm simply going to send some text, right? And this text, you can think nothing of it right now. I'm going to restart the server. And now when I make a request, I'm hoping you guys can expect to see this change of text I just made. Now let's see what happens. Okay, bam. Now I just see this text. Now, for those of you that are aware, I'm clearly sending back HTML through this response, right? But if you notice something, it's simply, HTML is simply still text. So HTML is simply a way for you to style your text, okay? Now let's see what happens when we go to the browser, right? We're gonna go to the same website. Bam, look at that. Do you see that by doing the same thing, returning text, but returning it in a specific way that conforms to the HTML protocol, I got some cool styling, right? So now, if you see where I'm going with this, creating a web server is as simple as creating a script that listens for connections and sends you text in a pretty way. And another major thing to gain from this is that browsers make things look pretty. HTML itself does not make things look pretty. The browser, the thing that renders HTML, makes it look pretty. Look at curl, for example. Curl does not do any rendering. It simply returns to you text, okay? Now, that is all I have to say about web development. I really feel like I have to do this because to kind of save my younger self from going through all the stress of trying to figure out what React is, trying to figure out what Mongo is, this and that. Start simple. You're sending text to somebody that's asking for it. All these other frameworks, they are simply methods of generating this text in a really cool, methodical, reproducible, testable way.